Hello, and welcome to a session of Centennial College at the library. Today we will be talking about company information sources, how to find them, and how to use them. If you're just joining us, perhaps you would like to follow along with the examples. You can do that by going to the college website or the library website at library.centennialcollege.ca. Remember, wherever you are in the virtual landscape, access to the library's resources is a click away with your MyCentennial login credentials. As we begin, let's imagine that you're sitting at your desk and this slip of paper sails by. You have a look and ask yourself, oh my goodness, what happened? What went wrong? How can I fix it? How can I be part of the solution? Well, today in this talk, we'll help you do just that by looking at sources of company information in the library's collections. We'll go to different places, including Business Source Complete, Insights Global, Passport, LexisNexis, Privco, and FP Infomart. Before jumping in, sometimes it's helpful to connect a face with a voice. So let's do that. Yes, this is me, your library guy, the person who will guide you through this talk on company information resources. If you're feeling a little frightened or scared right now, just think of how my kids feel every day. So let's jump right in. We'll have a look in Business Source Complete, our first stop on the tour. To do that, zip over to the library's homepage and open up the Resource tab. Open up the e-Resources tab. This is your gateway into our collections. Try this, Business Source Complete. Just click and go and see where it takes us. Remember I mentioned the collections are a click away through your MyCentennial login credentials? Well, here we go. The good news in this process is that once you've logged in, you don't have to log in again unless you go away for several minutes. So in this way, you can zip between databases without logging in again. Now the real power of this collection comes through this primary interface where you get access to all kinds of magazine, journal, and newspaper subscriptions. We could look at those, but we'll save it for a little bit later. For now, we'll take a more precise look at some of the company data and company information that this collection has to offer. We'll do that by opening company profiles. We'll start by having a search for information on the Procter & Gamble company, P&G for short. After entering Procter & Gamble, we browse through for the report. Unfortunately, we discover a flaw in our plan. We've hit on Product Safety Labs, the closest thing to P&G. As we consider the flaw, the problem, what went wrong, this example is a lesson in two things. First, you should spend some time getting to know the interface, seeing what works, seeing what you can do with the database, seeing where things go. You should also ask yourself, if it doesn't work the first time, maybe there's another way to find the information you're looking for. Trial and error. Sometimes it's necessary to try more than one thing. So let's try again. In our example, the search defaulted to the alphabetical list. Now, of course, we try something else, match any words, and see where we land. And straight away we go to the Procter & Gamble market line report. One thing you'll notice about this report is that it's very current, published just in January of 2020, so the information is entirely useful. While there's much in this report, I'll only draw your attention to a couple of things, including access to a SWOT analysis, a list of top competitors, and a list of major products and services. Inside the SWOT analysis, of course, you get a snapshot about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats facing Procter & Gamble. You also get considerable information about these particular strengths, weaknesses, and threats. Secondly, you get a list of top competitors. This list is useful in particular for locating other reports. Let's imagine you want to find a report on Henkel or a report on Unilever. You can use the same collection to find market line reports on these competitive companies to begin the process of putting together a competitive landscape. Under major products and services, you also get a list of the brands associated with P&G. We can scroll through and see that P&G is the origin of Tide, of Febreze, of Cascade and Mr. Clean, and so forth. You can use these in several ways. One of them is, of course, you can return to the power of this collection and say, let's find out about Febreze. Let's find a larger picture of what's going on with this particular brand. Returning to the primary interface, we can do a search on Febreze and another word, for example, consumer. So bringing these two search ideas together will produce a set of articles. You can scroll through and find something of interest, such as this one. Customer loyalty is overrated, according to a Harvard Business Review. We can go in, have a look at the article as a PDF, and we can use the Control F function on your keyboard to open up a search window that allows us to search for our keywords within the text of the article. And you'll notice you can easily read in context, such as we'll do now. We can see things like, when P&G introduced Febreze, consumers liked the way it worked, but did not use it often. Part of the problem, it turned out, was that the container was shaped like a glass cleaner bottle, signaling that it should be kept under the sink. The bottle was ultimately redesigned to be kept on a counter or in a more visible cabinet, and use after purchase increased. You can also use the search box, of course, to search on other words and phrases, such as P&G. and jump from page to page, reading in context as you go. You can even discover places in the article where the authors talk about Tide, another brand of P&G. So to recap, Business Source Complete provides all kinds of useful company information, including market line reports that include SWOT analyses, that include a list of top competitors, and a list of major products and services, including brands. Let's move on to another resource. Let's have a look in Business Insights Global. Remember, all we have to do is return to the library's e-resources page and zip over to another database. We'll enter Insights Global now. As you might expect, there's plenty to do and see inside each of these resources. Our brief tour will only look at a few of the interesting bits. Let's begin by seeing what Volkswagen is up to. One of the useful features of the library's company data information collections is your access to financial data. Financial data for thousands of companies. In this example, you'll have usable access to Volkswagen's income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and ratios. Let's see what else we can do. As you might expect, access to SWOT reports is also available. Let's find a SWOT report for Volkswagen. Once again, the value of a SWOT report is its currency. This report was produced only a few months ago. Another value of the SWOT report is its snapshot or a window into what the company's been up to and what's going on in Volkswagen. As we scroll down, we can discover several things, including the threat related to Volkswagen's diesel emissions testing scandal. Their emissions scandal appears to have increased operational costs and impacted their brand image. While the SWOT report gives you a paragraph about the diesel emissions scandal, what you'll want to do is explore further. You can explore further in each of our databases. Here's how in Insights Global. Returning to Home, we'll have a look in the advanced search. After all, we are in college, so we should take advantage of these advanced search features. We'll begin with the company name, and we'll make sure the database is searching it as a company name. And we'll type in words that describe our interest. In this case, scandal. And we'll describe it as a keyword. We'll go from there. As you can see, these collections are very robust. With our search on Volkswagen and Scandal, we now have access to over 5,000 articles. The search interface allows us to search in different kinds of publications, including trade journals, which we'll do now. Here is the full text of an article discussing the scandal and how it relates to Leonardo DiCaprio. Apparently, Mr. DiCaprio has secured the film rights to make a film about the emission scandal. And you know, once Mr. DiCaprio gets involved in something, it's going to be good. So Volkswagen, watch out. Here's another feature of interest in this particular collection. You can form comparison charts. In this case, we'll do a comparison chart for companies. Let's add in the Kellogg's company. Here is a revenue chart over time for Kellogg. It seems that things are going reasonably well. It wouldn't be a comparison if we didn't add at least one more company. Let's add in General Mills. As you can see, General Mills is also doing reasonably well. One of the advantages, in addition to being able to incorporate these graphics in your own reports, is you can change the metrics. Let's have a look at sales per employee over time. And as we can see, something's gone wrong. Fortunately, these company data collections in the library's collection will help you find out just what might have happened. So let's review what we've seen in Business Insights Global. We've had a look at the Volkswagen company and discovered you can get access to financial data for this company and many others. You can also get access to SWOT analyses, and you can expand your search from there and discover greater detail of a particular problem, a particular threat, a particular opportunity, strength, or weakness. We've also seen you can do this through the advanced search features. And finally, and of course there are many more things you can do, you can build charts that describe the revenue, describe employee sales over time, and other metrics. Let's move on to another database. We'll have a look in LexisNexis. Again, returning to our e-resources tab, we'll change collections. Sometimes mistakes happen. Let's try this again. Here we go, LexisNexis. LexisNexis is a very robust database covering topics in the fields of medicine, legal issues, business, and current news. We'll confine our search to the menu choice of the company dossier. We'll open that up, and see what we can learn about Rogers Communications. We'll type in Rogers Communications and go from there. Again, as you can see, for today's talk on company information resources, we're just covering some highlights that you can discover in the collection. There's many more things that you'll want to discover and investigate on your own. Again, you can see there's access to a financial overview. And in this case, as in other cases, you have access to a current news feed. So we'll look here under top publications and major newspapers, and you get up-to-the-minute news on what's happening with Rogers Communications and how Rogers Communications is presenting themselves to the world. And of course, it's never only about the money. The interesting feature here is you have access to quality news sources, such as the Globe and Mail. Another feature in LexisNexis and the company dossier is its ability to compare companies. We'll do that now. We'll have a look under this feature, Compare Companies. Why don't we compare Magna International and Linamar? This may take a couple seconds, but as we compare these companies, of course, we'll be comparing their financial data. Selecting Magna International and Linamar Corporation. As you can see, you have access to a financial year end, their liabilities, income statement, and ratio analysis. To recap, LexisNexis covers many topics of interest, not the least of which is company data. As we can see from Rogers Communications, a company worth annually $11 billion, you have access to comparative charts as well. In our example, we compared Magna International with Linamar Corporation, and we had a look at their current news feeds. Let's move on to another collection, Passport, Euromonitor's academic version. To do this, we'll return to the library's homepage, we'll return to the library's e-resources page, and we'll enter Passport, Euromonitor's Passport. This is an excellent tool for gaining access to company, industry, and demographic information. For now, we'll focus on their company data platform. And we'll have a look at their company report for Nike. As you can see, we accidentally flipped out of the collection. Now we're moving back in. And we'll have to see what they have under their company profile. As it loads up, you'll notice that you can get access to Nike from a global perspective, or Nike from a particular geographic region. Nike Incorporated, showing for different geographic regions and for the worldwide view. In this example, you have the ability to view the report as a PDF. Instead of loading the PDF, which you can do on your own, I'll show you a screenshot of what's available. As you can see, the PDF has different subheadings, including state of play, exposure to future growth, competitive positioning, sportswear apparel, software, sportswear footwear, key findings, and an appendix. Here's an example of the competitive positioning tab. As we can see, though Nike remains the global leader in apparel and footwear, its main sportswear rival, Adidas Group, is proving to be an increasingly formidable competitor. In summary, or in partial summary, we've covered company information resources, starting with Business Source Complete, moving to Insights Global, LexisNexis, and Passport. Do we have time for these other things? Perhaps we'll leave them for another day. I'll let you discover what Privco and FP Infomart can offer to you. Before I wrap up, I want to introduce one more thing. We'll have a look at a LibGuide, a library guide I created, Business Analysis, Information Sources for You. Now we'll walk through the process of finding this guide. Returning to the library's homepage, you can access our library guides in this way. Scroll down to Popular Resources, and it's centrally located under Library Guides. It's easiest sometimes to have a look at all guides, the alphabetical list that you can scroll through, scrolling through to Business Analysis, Information Sources. This covers access to market area facts, industry analysis, company data, and demographic information. You can look at the parts yourselves, but here's your quick way into the various parts and a quick summary of what you can expect to find inside. Thank you for joining me on this tour of Centennial College Library's collections pertaining to company information. If you have further questions or comments, you can contact me at my email address, rsims@centennialcollege.ca. And best of luck, and thank you.